Welcome to the Late Night Race Review. Max does the business in the rain again. The story of what could have been for Fernando and Aston Martin. And Sainz goes full send in a weekend to forget for Ferrari. It's the 2023 Monaco GP. We wrap it up with a look at our fantasy league and our predictions game, as always. Don't forget to support the podcast by hitting those like, follow and subscribe buttons. Welcome back to the Late Night Race Review. I'm Owen Scott, and with me as always is Dave Jericho and Isidro Consalvish. And a weekend that had its ups and downs. Monaco gave us the usual qualifying thrills, an exciting turn one, 45 laps of sleepy time, and then rain to wake us all up again. Dave, before we get kicking into it, do you want to give us a look at the F1 Fantasy League, and then we'll jump into Monaco?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? All right, let me have a look here. Okay, for everyone that doesn't know by now, sick of saying it every week, but we have an official F1 fantasy game going, Late Night Race Review. You can find us by searching for that. And at the top of the league for the millionth race in a row is Stop Inventing. Nobody has knocked that person off the table yet. I am still in third, and Scotty is... Where are you, Scotty? You're still holding down 17th place. Woo! And Isidro has you on his shoulders in 18th place, propping you up there into the 17th.
Lovely.
Let me see. Who else have we got down there? Anyone else deserve a mention? There's no big movers there. Is there any big movers? No. That's as exciting as it gets, everybody. Don't forget to join, though. There's prizes. There's fucking prizes. Join us.
Yeah.
All right.
Get your Logan Sargent hats while you can.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be a fucking collector's item.
All right,
let's go.
Before we get into the race, I want to talk quickly just about qualifying, because qualifying obviously is a big thing at Monaco, and it probably was the main event this weekend. Dave, what did you think of the qualifying session?
Oh, it was exactly what you said. It's the highlight of the weekend at the moment now, is the qualifying. But it was great. It was so steady up until the last 5 minutes of Q3, and then it was just a proper shootout. And it was it was definitely one of those. The track was just evolving, and last man on track was going to get the fastest time. I don't know whether, when people were saying about Max Verstappen having a class third sector for his lap, I think it was more Alonso had a slow third sector. Because I think I think maybe he just kind of blew the pole position.
Say it. Blew the pole. Come on.
Blew the pole. Yeah, and I know. As I was saying, I was like, I better add position at the end of this one. But yeah, look, I enjoyed it. It was I was kind of hoping, we were chatting in the group, and I was kind of saying, like, I hope we get a race that matches it. There was supposed to be a bit of drizzle, and well, look, we'll get into that shit show.
Yeah. Isidro, can I get a special mention for Ocon, perhaps?
Yeah, it was a great weekend for him, and a roller coaster of emotions. For a few seconds, he was first, get the pole in the qualifying, but then slowly dropped second, third. And today was another roller coaster for him.
Yeah. Dave, the Leclerc-Norris block, what's your opinion on it? Who was at fault?
God, remind me. I didn't retain much information this weekend. It seems to have gone out of my head.
So just coming into the tunnel, I think Leclerc just slightly moved over on Lando Norris and kind of avoided his fast lap. I think he got a grid penalty for it as well. He had to start a few places back.
Oh, really? I'll be honest. I'm going to have to take your word on that one, whether I was making a cup of coffee or falling asleep in anticipation for Sunday. But I missed that one. I heard he got the penalty all right for the block on Alonso or on Norris. But I actually didn't see it live. So
naughty boy.
And Isidro, give us your opinion on that one. Salvage me from my.
Leclerc was his move was a dick move. Norris was doing very well.
Right. And the Checo crash, anyone see the Checo crash happen?
Which one?
In qualifying.
I mean, he was went in too hot into that corner, didn't he? But he's we'll come across this in the predictions game, but it's just for some reason I just had this an inkling in my head that he was going to be a little bit too Leroy Jenkins on this track.
And not a good track to do it, considering you have to get a crane to lift the Red Bull off. The photographs coming out of the underside of the Red Bull, a few teams very interested to see what's going on under there.
Was that the Mercedes as well?
The Mercedes got lifted too, yeah.
Yeah. Which was, I think that was, well, Red Bull was obviously important, but with Mercedes bringing their whole new package, I think it was definitely more interesting getting a good shot of the underside of the Mercedes car.
And look up the skirt. That's
I was going to say that, and I thought, no, we're gonna eliminate a whole audience there.
Right, let's get on to the race. We can't really start anywhere else or with anybody else, but Max Verstappen, the usual. He had a few curveballs thrown at him today, but as usual, he was pretty flawless, Dave, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Do you know what I was impressed with? Usually it's like, oh, Verstappen again, boring race. But this time, okay, it was Verstappen again. But I was impressed with how he managed to get those medium compound tires to last. Like everybody else in the pack was having trouble. Even Alonso was you could tell, was struggling. Now he did sort of start complaining early on that he was having issues with his front left. I think he thought there might have been a puncture or something, and he started dropping time after that. So I don't know whether that was Alonso was kind of more experienced than that, so I don't want to say there was maybe a psychological thing that he just thought was something wrong with the front left, and as a result, he wasn't confident to push that car. But either way, yeah, Verstappen made those medium compounds last really, really well for a long time. Even when he was begging to come in for a pit stop, and the guys telling him no, stay out, and he was still stretching that gap from Alonso every time he got a chance when he was outside the back markers. So. Yeah, hats off to him. It was impressive. I was impressed today.
Yeah, they seem to be. There's a good unity between the pit wall, the team, and Max. The calls, the team will tell him when they need him to know something, and he needs to know something.
Yeah,
and then Max will tell them when he's ready to do something, and they listen to each other, which seems to work quite well.
That's it. It seemed to be very calm or something. Whereas especially like. It was definitely in a moment of, who's going to blink first, who's coming in for the pit stops first. Is it Alonso? Is it going to be Verstappen? I can imagine the tension was high there. Verstappen just kind of sitting there waiting for the call from the pit crew to say, come on in. And so I'd say it was high pressure, high tension, but they still seemed to keep very calm, made the right decisions. Great all round. As, what can you expect?
Yeah,
rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Cedra, what do you think of Max today?
I think just pinging on what I was saying about the tires, I think it's not the first time that he does a very good job keeping the tires. It was Baku or Miami where he did a very good job keeping the tires as long as possible. But today, it was another class drive from Verstappen. He was able to keep the distance from Alonso just to prevent any and giving some sort of buffer as well, because he never knows what would happen if someone was getting out of the pit and just throw himself into the track straight away. That would complicate things. Otherwise, it was a class race from Max.
And as Horner said, we had a Red Bull sandwich for a grid today, and Checo kind of taking up the back. Quite different affair for him. A few little tips, Dave.
Yeah, it was now, but what are you going to do? You're at the back. It's Monaco. I mean, you may as well have not turned up. You're just running an engine for the sake of it. I mean, he tried. Was it Alonso or was it Perez that ended up with like 5 pit stops? Did he take 5 pit stops? I think
Russell was in quite a bit as well. I think he had a few on his.
I thought Perez came in for like 5 pit stops or something like that. But either way, it was. What were you going to do there? Yeah, it was a shocking. Well, his race was over after qualifying on Saturday, yesterday. So it's regardless of, he could have had the best drive of his life today, and it would have still made no difference. You still weren't going to get past anybody that was fighting for position, or certainly you weren't going to get past too many that were fighting for position. I mean, the only people they were getting past easily was Logan Sargent, and that's because it's Logan Sargent and his tires were going off. So it's,
Yeah. Interesting strategy from Red Bull to bring him in on lap 2 to put on the hard compounds and then just try and let him to go the whole race. That's what kind of happened at the start. Didn't pay off. The rain kind of came in and scuppered any of those type of plans. But anyway, that was Red Bull today. Alonso and Aston Martin deciding to go with the hard tyre off the start. And looking back, Dave, do you think that was a wise choice considering how important that run down to turn was?
Yeah, I didn't think there was going to be much of a difference. I don't think... I don't know whether they were really worried about getting Verstappen in turn 1. I think they were thinking the long game in Monaco where it's difficult to overtake. So I think they were hoping that they could keep pace with Verstappen, go those extra laps and come in for a pit stop. But yeah, I don't... I think they maybe made the best option they could. I don't think they were going to, if they went out in the mediums, I don't think they were going to go toe to toe with Verstappen, hope that they were going to get the pit stops and stuff like that. I think going the long game was the best option. Definitely, obviously, did not pan out the way they hoped. But I think hard off the start was the way to go.
Right. Okay, Dave or Isidro, sorry. What do you think of Alonso's game plan today?
I think Alonso did very well. He's the most experienced driver that was on the track, and it could show that he knew that he would never be able to get Max Verstappen, but he had the car to keep the second place, and that's what he did very well. Although this time there was no time to check the screen to see how his friend was doing.
Yeah, Dave.
But no, we did make mention of it, or I made mention of it. What do we think actually happened, though? Well, at the start of the race, he was keeping pace with Verstappen, and then he complained about that he thought he had a puncture, and he was dropping like a second a lap. And then when he was kind of assured by the team that there was no puncture, that gap sort of stabilized, whether that was Verstappen kind of sort of pacing himself to preserve some of his tires, or whether Alonso kind of regained a bit of confidence in the car and recovered. But I have no idea what happened in that kind of bunch of laps there that decided, that he just wasn't able to keep that pace going. And
Cedro, go on.
Yeah, that was a bit weird that he was pretty sure there was something wrong, and the team was just saying, no, it all looks good. So probably what I was saying, that it's a mix of Verstappen was trying to keep up his tires as much as possible, and Alonso was just not sure about his car. But Alonso has experience, so if he was saying there was something, I'm pretty sure there was something there.
But to say that he felt like it was a flat, if it was, he thought there was a puncture, and you're just kind of thinking, what else could be wrong there that would kind of simulate that sort of sensation in the car. So, and that wouldn't have come up on telemetry or some sort of stats back to data back to the pit wall. But I suppose I think I'm a bit disappointed with Alonso. Look, we all know, or well, you guys know anyway, where my predictions went for this week. I expected a lot more. I thought one or two things. I thought maybe they were going to wipe each other out on the first turn at the start of the race. I just thought maybe Alonso might get bullish, but when he didn't and the long game was there, I thought, you know what? If he keeps within a couple of seconds of Verstappen, this is game on, and this could be, Alonso could get a win here. And it just fizzled out. From poor decisions to, and look, I don't know whether you were going to hit on it now next with just the tire selection for when it started raining. But we heard on the radio that Alonso, well, we heard after the fact, I suppose, we heard a replay of the radio where Alonso, I think, wasn't convinced that the slicks were, or going on the the slick tires was the way forward for that pit stop. He was thinking that intermediates was the way to go, and the team sort of convinced him otherwise, and he went out on the mediums. So I don't know. Looks like it was the strategist maybe dropped the ball a little bit there, and a combination of whatever weird shit was going on with that front left. But overall, a bit disappointed with Aston Martin today. I think they've kind of maybe lost an opportunity there to get their win here.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them coming up against Red Bull in Barcelona, where you know the Red Bull is just going to streak away from everyone.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah, whether it was to do with the weather reports, you'd presume that all of the teams get their weather from the same places. Or
But it's weird, isn't it? Like all the way through the race, it was saying, so the teams were saying we're going to get a sprinkling of rain.
Yeah.
Then the official sort of weather update was there's going to be no rain, rain's gone. Then literally, I think it was like, it couldn't have been a lap later after we got that official report that the rain wasn't coming, that it just started, not pouring down, but it started raining heavy enough that required a change of tires. So yeah, that was a bit of a fucking weird one.
I think it's just the intern FIA with an iPhone and Android with a weather app, just checking which one is more correct, and then just go run and type down the report.
Do we think they were pushing Michael Massey around to new positions and just seeing he got his promotion from toilet cleaning, so now he's moved on to weather report.
Poor Michael Massey's never going to live that down, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So whether it was to do with the weather report, it was a gamble that clearly didn't pay off for them, because they went out in the hards and then pretty much immediately had to come back in again and get those inters, didn't they?
Yeah, and they were lucky that they were able to do that and still retain second place, because they could easily have come out on those medium tires and try to go out. You sort of gamble that the rain was going to. Do you remember? Wasn't it Lando Norris? Do you remember he was leading the race there? Was it Sochi or something like that? Wasn't
Russia.
it?
Yeah.
And he gambled that it wasn't gonna get hit, and it just bucketed down, and you are just heartbroken for him. And I mean, I think, Alonso, that the only option, or the two options there, was you gamble that this is going to stop really quick and that you've made the right call, or you go back in the pits. And thankfully, at that moment, they did make the right call and go straight back into the pits and put those inters on, because otherwise, they would have lost second completely.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to our driver of the day, or the driver of the day, Esteban Ocon. We touched on it in the.
Hang on a second. Let me hang on. I'm interjecting here. You say our driver of the day. I like the way you're. Hang on a second. This is your driver of the day.
That's why I corrected it and said the driver of
the driver
day.
of the day. Sorry.
I did say our at the very start, but then I corrected myself. An amazing weekend. Actually, he's not actually my driver of the day. Let me just put that out there. An amazing weekend for the Frenchman, but he pulled an absolute top bins lap out in quali and then drove the pants off the Alpine today, didn't he, Dave?
Yeah, I can see why he got driver of the day. Like, I mean, he definitely absolute stellar qualifying, and today he did a great job of holding up Carlos Sainz. But again, there's only so much credit you can give to that, because again, at the end of the day, it is Monaco, and we do have to recall that Daniel Ricciardo won Monaco with a car that was down by 20 horsepower, 20% power, or something crazy like that. Yeah. So there's only so much kind of weight you can give to that driver of the day. So for me, great drive, absolutely belter that he got third place. But overall, no, he wouldn't be my driver of the day.
Oh, foreshadowing going on there. Isidro, would he have been your driver of the day, do you think?
Yeah, I think Ocon deserves. I would be torn between Ocon and Alonso, but considering that Alonso has more experience and they have many more races and more podiums, I think Ocon definitely deserves driver of the day.
Right.
Monaco is a tough track, and Ocon was quite good today.
Are we seeing a slight turning of the tides for Alpine, or was this track specific, Dave, considering Pierre Gasly was a P7 finish today as well? Will it retain for next week in Barcelona, do you think?
No. I think they'll be down the sort of mid pack, still back to sort of 9th, 10th, somewhere like that for Barcelona. I think Ocon did a great job on an evolving track. I think maybe he was just out on track at the right time. Don't get me wrong, that car has the power and the performance to be able, and the driver in it to be able to pull out a lap like that. But I think it was just at the right time. I think possibly but yeah, look, I think track specific, and I think come Barcelona, I would expect them to be down sort of like that between 8, 9, 10, somewhere like that.
Isidro, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Monaco was just a one-off for Alpine. I think in Barcelona they will go back to his usual mid position, fighting for the.
I would say go back to his usual meat. I was like, that's a bit weird. The old salami.
Monaco is not. I don't think Monaco is a true reflection of what Alpine will do in Barcelona.
Yeah. So back to your position 9 and position 10 Alpine drivers. Yeah. Battling with Lance Stroll and Charles Leclerc. All right, moving on to the next guys on the grid, or next guys who finished. They're both Mercedes showing good pace this weekend. Those upgrades won't really see any dividends until we see them at Barcelona, but a good, reliable P4 and P5 this weekend for Mercedes.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought Hamilton might have pushed a little harder on Ocon to get that third place. We didn't see, he got within something like 4/10 or something like that on the second last lap, but the race director decided not to show us that. So thanks very much. So I have no idea what happened there or why he didn't get the overtake done. But yeah, great drive. The car, yeah, like you say, we're not going to see what those upgrades are made of until Barcelona. So I'm really looking forward to that. I want to see whether they're, I want to see whether they're maybe catching up with the Aston Martins or something like that. And I think judging by what's going on, I mean, they're firmly jumping over Ferrari at the moment, which was a surprise to everybody, I'm sure. So yeah, great drive from both of them. A solid drive from Hamilton. George Russell, that 5-second penalty. That was, I'd say he was just rushing to get back on the track and didn't look proper. He was saying that the visibility wasn't great, but I think I don't think he looked properly getting on back on the track. So, and a justified 5-second penalty as well. But overall, a solid performance from both drivers.
Yeah, we constantly talk about Mercedes revivals and will they come back and will they challenge? But when you actually look at the standings at the moment, Mercedes are sitting in third with 119 points and Ferrari are back there at 90.
With a car that's shit.
Yeah. So that's up until now. So we've got an upgrade for Mercedes. Like, the season does look a little bit more positive. You've got Lewis in 4th, George in 5th in the driver's standings as well, and Carlos Sainz and Leclerc nowhere to be seen. So Mercedes really have overtaken Ferrari this season so far with what is an inferior car up until now. Cedro, do you think they'll push on now with this upgrade, Mercedes?
Yeah, definitely. In Barcelona, we'll see the true power of the Mercedes upgrades. Monaco is not really the best track for a showcase of all the upgrades you can do to a car. It's a tight track, and you don't have space for errors. Basically, you make a mistake, you go to the barrier, and that's it. Game over for you. So not the best place for the showcase of your upgrades. Barcelona will be a different story, that's for sure.
Yeah, Dave, go on.
I was just going to say, like a while ago, we were talking about drivers not having confidence in their car. Like, obviously that we were saying, or I was saying that Russell looked like he had more confidence in his car than Hamilton did and blah, blah. But I mean, today and this weekend, it just looked like they both had pretty good confidence in their cars. But then now you look at Ferrari and you kind of have to say, like, if you were taking over as Ferrari and someone said to you, look, you have an option here. You can either keep the two drivers that we have or you can change them. What are you doing? Like,
yeah,
I'm
changing. Yeah,
I'm changing. Like, these guys just look like, I mean, we said it before again, because this came up in the whole kind of confidence in the car. And we were just saying that Leclerc and, it's all well and good that Ferrari telling us that they fixed our issues and stuff like that, but it was clear that there was no real confidence in the car. And maybe today didn't sound like, from Sainz's point of view, there was much confidence from his engineers either. So yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering whether Ferrari are going to recover this season, or are they going to be finishing up behind Mercedes?
Yeah, let's move on to Ferrari on that note. And it really feels this was a throwback weekend, I think, for Ferrari, way back to last season when Clown College was fully in swing, and every week we had the little memes coming out. It was horrendous today for Ferrari, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awful. It was really, really poor. I do. And this is what I'm talking about with Ferrari and the confidence from the driver. The drivers and the team are not on the same page. That Ferrari made their strategy call for Carlos Sainz to focus, to make sure that they didn't get taken on track taken through the pits by Hamilton and lose position to Hamilton. Yeah. So they were covering off that. I get Carlos Sainz was more focused on Ocon, but didn't it completely show? Two things completely showed here. One, I wouldn't have confidence in Carlos Sainz's ability to keep his cool. I mean, he had only just said, what did he say? Let's push. What did he say? He said something like, let's push Ocon to burn up his tires or something like that. And what did he do the next lap? Yeah. Plowed into the back of Ocon and wrecked his front wing, which, fair enough, didn't kind of really hinder the performance of the car around Monaco. But that just says, like, he just wasn't keeping his cool. And then when the team were making a strategy call, you could tell Sainz didn't agree. So the confidence that kind of, don't get me wrong, all drivers don't have to agree, but it just sounded like it irked him, and he was kind of shocked at their decision. I said it the last couple of podcasts that I just think these drivers and the team are on completely different pages, and I think they either need to have a complete clear the air talks, or at the end of this season, look at different drivers and having a fresh start once again.
Now, the rumour mill last week was at full swing. Last 2 weeks, really, with this whole Hamilton to Ferrari thing. I don't think Hamilton's even looking in that direction anyway. No. But at the same time, your Carlos Sainz coming into this weekend, you see the rumour mill swinging. Do you think, Isidro, that his emotions were kind of up a little bit? He was out to prove himself. He was out to quash these rumours that Hamilton is coming to Ferrari.
I don't think he needs to worry about that. Considering how Ferrari is doing, I don't think Lewis would be looking at them. I wouldn't be surprised if Lewis would prefer to be an Aston Martin rather than looking at the Ferrari. But Ferrari's not doing very well, and we could see this weekend it was another Ferrari of the good old days. I don't think Sainz has nothing to worry about, or even Leclerc.
Do you think Sainz was affected by it, though?
No. I think it was just a normal day for him. And Monaco, it's just a tough...
emotional day for Carlos Sainz. Dave, you have something to say there?
Yeah, it's gone out of my head already. That's how old I am. Sorry.
Excellent.
Moving on, everybody.
Great stuff. All right, well, let's move away from the failing Ferraris into a team that has a little bit more hope now. The car is still muck, but at the same time, McLaren. Oh, Dave,
but
go on.
Hang on. The Alzheimer's passed away there for a second.
There we go.
I had a moment of clarity. That's what I was going to say. Like, do we think, though, that car is... Like, I think the car is better than what we're seeing.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I know, like, in other races, we were seeing that they were down on performance and stuff like that. But for Monaco, I think they definitely had a car that was able to take a win or, a podium. So, now I know it's hard to overtake, as we saw Carlos Sainz and blah, blah, blah. So even if he did keep his cool, I don't know whether... I think maybe he would have been better waiting for the pit stops or something like that. But anyway, that aside, I think the car is better than what the drivers are getting out of it. 100%. So
I think it really looks to me as if Leclerc and Sainz are both overwhelmed by the prospect of being Ferrari drivers. This whole thing of driving Ferrari, it seems to be getting on top of them.
I don't know. I think I would have said that if this was their first season or something like that and this was happening. But I don't think so. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's probably a lot of pressure, especially kind of in the Italian media and stuff like that. There's probably a lot of pressure. But I think it's more... I would say it's more a lack of confidence in the team. I think it's just gone on so long that it could very well be their fault, but they're sort of passing the blame onto the car, the team, the strategy calls, everything else. And it's just sort of having a bit of a snowball effect now that you're just now kind of like, well, okay, whose fucking fault is it now? Because they're just underperforming. So yeah, if it was their first season, I'd say, yeah, possibly the weight of expectation is there. Although, as I just said, like, I think their car has more potential than what they're getting out of it. So maybe in the Italian media and stuff like that, there's that narrative going on as well. And they're thinking, okay, now the pressure's on as well because everyone that reckons this car is there, but we can't extract that sort of performance that everyone expects from this car. So yeah, I don't know.
It's an interesting one. Yeah, the rumor mill will continue to swing on if the performances continue like that. Right, McLaren. Let's move on to McLaren. A nice another clown car, but hopefully it won't be for too much longer. A 9 and a 10 today for Norris and Piastri. A decent showing by the whole team overall. Good drives. Better
than where they were at the start of the season.
Yes, absolutely. Is it the livery?
It was. I would say it was probably the contributing factor,
because it sure as hell isn't the car. There seems to be, or there's talk of, in Zach Brown's words, a totally new car on the horizon for McLaren coming up in Austria, sort of Silverstone.
I think, yeah. That can be a blessing or a curse.
Well, I mean, where does it go though for McLaren? They can't go any further back, I don't think.
Well, they finished P9, P10 today, so
they could go one or two places back, all right. But overall, for a team like McLaren, they should be performing a hell of a lot better than they are.
Yeah, and I think, all joking aside, I know they got the P9, P10, but that was on a street circuit. I think if you put them on an actual circuit, like a race circuit, like, again, maybe Barcelona, I think maybe they may be sort of a couple of places back from there. I think might be their true position, but they've definitely made progress since the start of the season. So that's why when Zach Brown says about a completely new car for Silverstone, you're kind of like, well, you've made progress since the start of the season. So is it a completely new car, but based off the concept you've been starting to slowly improve from the start of the season, or have you scrapped that completely and this is a completely new direction? So in which case, if it's completely new direction, you're hoping to fucking God that when it hits the track, it is most definitely the right direction, because otherwise you could be back where you were in Bahrain and you're now back at square one trying to recover another concept that's maybe gone awry. Like,
is it possible that McLaren have looked at what Mercedes have done and gone, okay, let's head down a similar track, even though the McLaren actually is a completely different shape to the Merc, isn't it? Or what was?
But, again, you still don't know. I mean, Mercedes isn't really like, we don't know what McLaren are going to bring. They say a completely different car, but we'll have to see like if that's going to be the chassis, like a whole lot, or is it going to be like Mercedes, which, okay, it was a new floor, but like the side pods and stuff like that were sort of built on top of the same chassis, so you have that crash barrier that's still sticking out where you would have had it where the wing mirrors were attached to when they had the no pod kind of design, and now they're sort of trying to shoehorn it into this new side pod design. So it's sort of like their design is definitely an evolution. It's a change of concept, but it's still an evolution of the underlying, sort of foundations that they had with the car. Whereas, like I said, so depending on what McLaren do, if they go with a completely new car altogether, it'd be interesting. But I love this though. I like the anticipation of seeing what a completely new car could bring, and will someone, because I'd love to see. Like, wouldn't you love to see McLaren turn up in Silverstone and just absolutely nail it? Like, nail it. Like, I mean, not maybe the power wise, but like, okay, they're maybe not the power as sort of obviously Red Bull and stuff like that. But wouldn't it be great to see them, like, say, get a podium, get third place or something like that? And they're just like, yeah, we are on it. We knew this was going to be the right car, and proof was in the pudding. Like, but the reality is, what are we going to see? They're going to come. Is it Austria before Silverstone? Is it
Austria? Yeah.
So in Austria, they're going to come 14th or 15th, and they're going to be like, "It's okay, we got a brand new car for Silverstone," and they're going to come 12th, and they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, we made improvements," and you're like, "Oh yeah, big fucking whoop!" Like, that's exactly what's going to happen.
I was so excited there for about 2 seconds until you went and ruined it.
But you know reality. I'd love to see them get a podium and just absolutely boss it out of the gate. But reality is, we're going to see a shit show in Austria. We're going to be like, "Oh, it's okay. There's a brand new car coming for Silverstone," and it's just going to be an absolutely limp dick over the line.
Well, I'm looking forward to that prediction, so you can come back and play the clip for you again at the podcast. Right, let's wrap this baby up. Any other honourable mentions of the day, Isidro?
No, I think the McLaren was probably the best that they got considering the Monaco, and I don't think the improvements, unlike what Dave was saying, I think the best, even with a new car, they probably will be looking at best before, and that will be very good for the season, even if they have a very good car.
Yeah.
I mean, they have Red Bull, Aston Martin, even Ferrari, as we were talking earlier, ahead of them. So best I can hope is maybe a good day in the P5, and that's it. I'm not seeing McLaren going back to the top as they
Dave,
were last year.
particularly happy to see both Haas cars having an absolute shit show today.
Absolutely delighted. Yeah, I was just when you were saying about any honourable mentions, that was going to be mine.
Yeah.
So I won't deep dive into that, but yeah, I'm delighted how their day turned out.
All right, Dave. I think it's your turn to take it away, buddy.
Oh no! Before we do, we have the driver of the day. Everybody's driver of the day. I think Isidro nailed his colours to the mast earlier. I think we know who's coming with that. So, but Isidro, who's your driver of the day?
Ocon.
Yeah, maybe you argued your case earlier, so fair enough. Scotty?
My driver of the day, for a completely different reason, is Carlos Sainz, because he took an absolute punt the whole way through the race. He was milling into the back of people. He was trying to get round everyone. It was a disaster, but at least he was a bit of fucking entertainment.
Do you know what? I was going to give my driver of the day to Max Verstappen of how he managed his tires, but you know what? I'm going to jump on the Carlos Sainz bandwagon and just say, do you know what? Yeah, he gave it a punt. He fucking drove it into the back of Ocon, and he got nowhere. Yeah, he went full send and fucking made a shite show out of it.
Yeah, come on, Cedric.
Was playing Formula 1 with the damage off.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Right, prediction game. All right, let's get this. Let me get the old sheet up here. So we didn't have Monaco. We did have Monaco. We didn't have Imola. So what we did was we have our little late night race review WhatsApp group. So we all dropped our predictions in there on Friday. I think we got those in. So again, we got them in before we kind of had any real idea of how the weekend was going to pan out. So I will start with mine, which was a whole lot of maybe and a whole lot of nothing. So I went with Alonso P1, nothing. I went with Verstappen P2, nothing. And I went with Hamilton P3, nothing. But that could definitely have worked out.
Yeah, it definitely could have.
That was a damn good. That was a Carlos Sainz punt. That was.
Yeah, good shout.
All right, Scotty, who'd you go with?
My three: Verstappen in P1, which did happen as always. Perez P2, which didn't happen at all, and Leclerc P3, which didn't happen at all. So two little goose eggs there for me.
Jesus. And then here comes Mr. Big Bollocks himself. Go on, Isidro.
First Verstappen, second Alonso, and third Perez.
All right, with two out of three. That was a pretty solid result. I'd say you were gutted when you saw the crash in qualifying for Perez. I'd say you knew that's third place gone before Sunday even got around. All right, well, my flop again. Another could have happened. I went Perez DNF.
Close.
Very close. Scotty, who'd you go with for your flop? Oh wait, hang on a second.
No.
I ain't.
Yeah,
before we I have to update something here because I think I've put your surprise into your flop.
Oh, Jenny. Oh my.
I did, yeah, I did. I would say let me switch them around before we get a steward's inquiry. Okay, and then let me make sure that I didn't. No, yeah, okay, we're all good there. Okay, so who's your flop?
My flop was I took a real punt on this one. Fernando Alonso outside the top 10. I don't know why. I just took a shot.
I was gonna say, what was your expectation there? Just a crash or something with?
Yeah, I thought he was just gonna hit a barrier. I just took a punt on something. It was one of those ones that just could have happened, but yeah.
Yeah.
Think you're looking at the screens and forget about the track.
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Now, Isidro, tell us who your flop was there.
Leclerc, DNF.
That was something like, I mean, that was a good shout because,
Yeah,
I mean, that was a very strong possibility of that happening.
Yeah.
He loves crashing a car in Monaco.
He does.
All right, my surprise then was Albon in the top 10, and I really thought that was going to happen. I don't know what happened to the Williams this weekend, but they were absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a big goose egg. Jesus, 5 goose eggs this weekend for me.
Big bag of muck.
Big bag of stink.
Right, my surprise came very close to happening. I'm sort of sorry that I said the actual position and I didn't just say top 10, but it was Lando P8 and he came P9.
That was close. You probably could have gone with a range. Could have probably gone for 6 to 8 or 6 to 9 or I don't know. You could have maybe.
I still would have lost with the 6 to 8 one, but yeah.
Didn't think that through before I said it.
Yeah.
All right, and then another surprise that could have happened is Isidro.
Yuki Tsunoda, top 10.
Yeah, that was very close. What happened to it? Something with his brakes or something? What happened?
Yeah,
brakes. Yeah,
there was a few issues with braking.
Okay, so the results are in. Isidro has taken the victory this week.
God damn it!
That means, oh no, sorry, I was reading the tables wrong. I thought Isidro was at the top of the table, but no, you're still at the bottom.
No.
Me and Scotty still on 2 and Isidro on 1.
That's right. He's off the mark anyway.
He's off the mark. Yeah, that's all that matters. All right. So Barcelona. Hang on a second. Let me crack out my predictions here. So I'm kind of going with similar drivers or same drivers, just different order. I'm going with Verstappen P1. Sweet Jesus, if I can type. Verstappen P1. I'm going with Alonso P2.
Oh man.
And I'm going with Hamilton P3.
Yeah.
Who are you going with, Scotty?
You've read my mind there. I went for Verstappen P1, Alonso P2, and Russell P3.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the Merc, and I'm seeing George with his big bare chest.
Would I be ballsy enough to put fucking Hamilton in P2 and Alonso in P3?
Ooh.
Do I put that much faith in the upgrades of the Mercedes?
Do it, Dave, because then I can get some points. Go.
I just don't like. Do you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. All right, I'm going to switch. All right, Hamilton P2.
Fantastic.
Hamilton. I'm just that's a punt on their upgrades, and Alonso P3. Having said that, if Alonso and Hamilton are battling for P2, there's a very good chance one of them is getting wiped out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I mean, I could, if I've got Hamilton finishing in P2, I could always put my surprise or my flop as Alonso DNF.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got Verstappen, Alonso, and Russell in P3. Isidro, who are you going with?
Verstappen, Perez, and Alonso.
Verstappen. Oh Jesus, Verstappen, Perez. I think he's done this season, but go on, Perez and Alonso.
Notice how there's not a Ferrari near anyone's top 3.
And I don't think there will be for a while yet.
Hilarious.
I'll wait. What we got? Flop. Okay, so my flop. Here we go. So here's the Ferrari. I'm going with Carlos Sainz, DNF.
No!
I think it's a shoo-in. I think that's a guarantee. I'm putting my money where my mouth is and say that's happening.
That's my DNF as well. I said Sainz DNF crash.
Sainz DNF. Yeah, it's all right. Let's share those points.
All right.
Damn it. So you are giving a Spanish driver a DNF on the Spanish Grand Prix.
Yeah, but I'm giving him P3 and he's giving him P2, another one P2. So it's all right. We're showing love to the Spanish drivers, but we're also being realists about it.
Didn't this happen last year for Sainz in Barcelona? There was a crash. Did he DNF?
No, was that not his? Was that not when the engine went on fire? Was that in Barcelona?
No, that was Austria, I believe.
I don't. There's been so many shit shows for Ferrari. It's hard to keep count.
I'm going to look that one up. Actually.
You're looking to see what his position was, or you're looking to see
Sainz in Spain. I think he crashed out of there.
No, 2022. He got 4 points.
Oh, did he?
He finished in 4th.
Oh, okay.
Spain. He did finish 4th. Yeah.
All right.
I don't care. I still feel he's going to get a DNF.
Yeah.
Especially how aggressive he went in Monaco. I think he's going to be even more determined in Spain.
Yeah. Pressure's on.
Are we going to go DNF that he crashes or that? Okay, here we go. We have to because we both went with a DNF.
Crash. I'm going to go crash.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going crash as well. Yeah, all right, fair enough. So will we put crash? No, fuck it, DNF. But we'll say it's crash.
Yeah.
All right, Isidro, your flop,
Hamilton,
please.
DNF.
Hamilton DNF.
Oh, jeez.
He's going to fight Alonso, and Alonso in that indestructible
Nice.
car.
Okay,
will
so
just throw Mercedes out.
So you're going with a crash again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Do you know what? I'm just going to put crash beside all of ours here, just so we've
seen Alonso with that Aston Martin, and that Aston Martin can take a beat. So
it's true. Yeah, they're fairly tankish. All right.
Has Lewis Hamilton crashed out of a race since Imola or Monza?
The last time was it not Silverstone? Or was it?
No, that was when
not.
He hit Max. He kept on going though.
Oh, was it the year before? It wasn't. Was it? No, it wasn't last year. It was the year before when he landed on, or Max landed on top of him. Or
Monza. I think
that's right. Time. It was Monza. Yeah, Silverstone was the. It was that was a different race altogether.
Yeah, it was. Was it just before that the tensions were high and then he landed on top of Max?
Yeah.
But I don't think he's crashed since then, has he?
No, not that I can recall.
I don't think he has. It's a big shout, Isidro.
That is a big shout. But he's right though. That's what I'm saying it when I was talking about Hamilton and Alonso battling for second. I think if those two are jostling for position and the cars have equal kind of performance going into that race, he's right. I think someone's not coming out of that battle intact. So it's a good shout. It's a good shout. All right, my surprise. Who is my surprise? Oh yeah. This will be a surprise on many occasions or many levels, considering it's a Haas. I'm going K-Mag for a top 10 finish.
Ooh, what?
I've no idea why. It just came to me. I was like, you know what? Fucking K-Mag top 10. I think it could happen. I don't want it to happen, but I need the points, like, and I'm going to have to go with what my gut tells me.
Occasionally, he does put in a performance like that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he got 2 top 10 so far. Miami and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. All right, so I'm sticking with that. That's locked in. So,
all right,
Scotty, who you got?
Old Faithful. I'm going to go Albon top 10.
Albon top 10. I mean, it's going to happen. Again, it's like me with Schumacher last season. Like, just keep fucking churning it out, and it'll definitely happen.
I can tell by Isidro's face what's going to happen next.
Oh, has there been homework copying, has there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yuki Tsunoda top 10.
Oh, right, okay.
Tsunoda.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you just change that at the last minute?
No. Since the beginning. I had faith in him in Monaco, so I'm gonna keep going for Barcelona.
Okay. All right. That's not a bad shout. That's not a bad shout. Right, gentlemen, let's wrap this up before we lose any more audience listeners. I think we are back next week, isn't it, for Barcelona, the Spanish Grand Prix, and we'll be interested now to see how Mercedes pan out with their upgrades. So let's look forward to that one, and we will see you for the review right after the race. So until then,